He was supposed to be the good one. The billionaire who promised to give it all away. While other crypto founders bought yachts and Lamborghinis, this man wore wrinkled t-shirts, slept on a beanbag, and told the world he only wanted to make money so he could donate it to save humanity. Investors called him the next Warren Buffett. Politicians took his calls. Tom Brady put his face on it. And then, in just 10 days, his $32 billion empire turned to ash. $8 billion in customer money simply vanished. Not lost. Not burned in a bad trade. Gone, into a secret account nobody was supposed to see. Tonight I'm going to show you exactly how a 20-something with messy hair built the third largest crypto exchange on the planet, how he used the mask of a saint to hide one of the largest frauds in history, and the single tweet that brought the whole thing crashing down in less than 2 weeks. Stay with me, because the most disturbing part isn't the money he stole. It's what he was telling everyone while he stole it. And by the end, you'll understand why a judge looked him in the eye and gave him 25 years. His name was Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam to everyone, or just SBF. He grew up in California, the son of 2 Stanford law professors, a math prodigy who could crush you at chess and barely look you in the eye. At MIT he studied physics, but he didn't dream of building rockets. He fell in love with an idea called effective altruism. The pitch was simple, and it sounded noble. Don't waste your life in a soup kitchen. Go get rich as humanly possible, and then give that fortune away to do the most good for the most people. So Sam took a job at a Wall Street trading firm, learned how money really moved, and spotted something nobody else was chasing. In 2017, Bitcoin traded at different prices in different countries. In Japan it was worth more than in America. If you could buy it cheap in one place and sell it high in another, you could print money out of thin air. So he did. He founded a trading firm called Alameda Research, and at one point it was moving $25 million a day. But trading other people's coins wasn't enough. Sam wanted to own the casino, not just play in it. So in 2019 he launched his own crypto exchange, a place where millions of ordinary people would deposit their savings and trade. He called it FTX. And here's the detail that matters, the one that nobody questioned until it was far too late. He still owned the trading firm too. Both of them. At the same time. Now, here's how the trick worked, and it's simpler and uglier than you'd think. When you put money on a crypto exchange, that money is supposed to be yours. Sacred. Off limits. The exchange just holds it, like a coat check. You can ask for it back any second, and it has to be there. That's the entire promise. FTX took that promise, and quietly broke it. Behind the scenes, customer deposits, real people's savings, were funneled straight into Alameda, Sam's private trading firm. And Alameda gambled with it. Risky bets, venture investments, loans to Sam's own friends. There was even a secret backdoor written into FTX's code, a hidden line that let Alameda borrow billions in customer money without setting off a single alarm. By the end, Alameda had quietly taken around $8 billion that did not belong to it. And to make the numbers look healthy, they used a magic trick. FTX had invented its own coin, called FTT. They printed it, they controlled the price, and then they counted those invented tokens as if they were real money on the balance sheet. Picture writing yourself a check for $1 billion and calling yourself a billionaire. That was the foundation the entire empire stood on. As long as nobody asked for too much money back at once, the illusion held. But an illusion is only ever one bad day away from collapse. And that day was coming. But to keep the money flowing in, Sam needed the world to trust him completely. And this is where it turns from a financial crime into something almost theatrical. He built a mask, and it was a brilliant one. While other founders flexed, Sam dressed down. The cargo shorts. The bedhead hair. The image of a boy genius too busy saving the world to comb his hair or buy a suit. It made people feel safe. How could a scruffy kid who lived to give money away possibly be stealing it? Then came the celebrities. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen became the faces of FTX. Larry David starred in a Super Bowl commercial watched by 100 million people. FTX bought the naming rights to a Miami arena and sponsored a Formula One team, splashing its logo across the fastest cars on Earth. And then there was Washington. Sam poured roughly $40 million into the 2022 elections, making him one of the biggest political donors in the entire country, buying access at the very top. But here is what nobody saw coming. The man preaching that he'd give it all away to charity, the saint of effective altruism, was quietly building a different kind of kingdom in the Bahamas. A $30 million penthouse. A property empire worth hundreds of millions. The halo wasn't an accident. It was the perfect disguise. Because the more good you appear to do, the fewer questions anyone dares to ask. It's easy to get lost in the billions and forget what they actually were. Behind that $8 billion hole were more than 1 million real people. Not hedge funds. Not Wall Street sharks who could afford to lose. Ordinary people. A teacher in Texas who put her savings into FTX because a Super Bowl ad told her it was safe. A retiree who moved his pension because Tom Brady's face made it feel legitimate. Young investors who believed the smiling boy genius would never touch their money. They trusted the brand. They trusted the celebrities. They trusted the halo. And one morning, they woke up and could not withdraw a single dollar. Entire life savings, frozen, then simply gone. People in over 100 countries. Some had put in their rent money. Some had put in everything. There are stories of users refreshing the app over and over, watching a balance that said their money was still there, money that in reality had been spent months earlier on penthouses, on ad campaigns, on political favors, on bets that had already lost. The cruelest part of this whole story is that the people who got hurt were exactly the people Sam claimed he was trying to save. The man who said he wanted to do the most good for the most people had done catastrophic harm to more than 1 million of them. And almost none of them saw it coming, because the warning signs had been hidden in plain sight. Because the signs were there. They always are. People just chose not to look. For years, skeptics had asked one simple question that nobody at FTX would answer clearly. Where, exactly, is the money? Online investigators pointed at the strange relationship between FTX and Alameda and asked why two companies that were supposed to be separate seemed to share the same wallet. They were called haters. Conspiracy theorists. Then, on November 2, 2022, a single article changed everything. A crypto news site got hold of Alameda's balance sheet and published it. And what it revealed was staggering. Alameda, the multi-billion-dollar trading giant, was propped up almost entirely by FTT, the coin FTX had invented out of nothing. Their empire wasn't built on cash. It was built on their own funny money. The article spread like fire. And then the most powerful man in crypto stepped in. Changpeng Zhao, the head of Binance, the biggest exchange in the world, and Sam's greatest rival, announced he was dumping every FTT token his company held. Publicly. On Twitter. It was a death sentence disguised as a tweet. Because the moment the world saw the king of crypto running for the exit, everyone else sprinted for it too. The price of FTT began to slide. Customers started pulling their money. A trickle, then a flood. And the $8 billion hole that Sam had hidden for years was about to be exposed to the entire world, in real time. What happened next took just 10 days. 10 days to erase an empire it took years to build. As customers raced to pull their money, FTX did the only thing it could. It froze withdrawals. The coat check had run out of coats. Billions of dollars in deposits that customers had been promised were instantly available simply weren't there. For a moment, it looked like Binance itself might swoop in and buy FTX, save the day, save the customers. Sam announced a rescue deal. The world held its breath. And then, one day later, Binance walked away, saying the problems were too deep, too dark to touch. There was no white knight coming. On November 11, 2022, FTX, Alameda, and more than 100 connected companies filed for bankruptcy. Sam Bankman-Fried resigned in disgrace. The $32 billion empire was worth nothing. His personal fortune, once $16 billion, evaporated in a matter of days, the fastest destruction of wealth that size the world had ever seen. And Sam, the boy who said he wanted to give it all away, fled to his Bahamas penthouse. But there was no hiding now. Investigators were already pulling the threads apart, and what they found wasn't incompetence. It was a deliberate, calculated theft. In December, he was arrested in the Bahamas and extradited to the United States, in handcuffs, to face the consequences of everything he had built and everything he had hidden. The trial was not even close. One by one, the people who had been closest to him, his inner circle, his ex-girlfriend who ran Alameda, took the stand and told the jury the truth. They had known. They had done it on purpose. In November 2023, after just a few hours of deliberation, the jury found Sam Bankman-Fried guilty on all 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. A few months later, a judge sentenced him to 25 years in prison and ordered him to forfeit $11 billion. And just this year, in 2026, he tried one last time. He appealed, hoping to undo it all. The court rejected every single argument. The 25 years stand. The boy who promised to save the world will spend most of what's left of his on the inside. So here's the question I want you to sit with. He didn't look like a villain. He looked like the opposite. He wrapped himself in goodness, in charity, in causes you'd want to believe in, and that mask is exactly what let him steal from 1 million people right out in the open. So tell me in the comments, would you have trusted him? Be honest. Because almost everyone did. If this story pulled you in, subscribe, because the people who get away with the most are almost never the ones who look the part. I'll see you in the next one, with another dark money story the world tried to forget.